All right, here's your quick overview for the Unit 2 Russian Communism Study Guide. A couple quick things about the communism portion and the economy. So, looking at the reasons behind followers are attracted to communism, and it's the idea of economic equality. People want to be equal. Uh, they are being possibly used in a system they don't like, and they want to be equal. Some of the characteristics of that command economy: central planning, making all the decisions within your own country and producing those items. They're making all the economic decisions as far as production and setting and controlling prices and things like that. Uh, they restrict your property rights. You can't own anything. The state owns it all. And usually there's things like 5-year plans or quotas that they have to meet and follow. Versus a market economy, looking at supply and demand, you're allowed private ownership, less government control, free to choose where you work. However, it does create some income inequality, and there's sometimes some boom or some bust. So looking at the communist revolution, Marx believed that it would always occur in an industrialized country because of these workers. They were being oppressed or not making enough, and the terms are used bourgeoisie and proletariat. So your property owning middle class versus your working class and the proletariat. And they believe that then the proletariat would have to kind of be led. So that's the vanguard of the proletariat, that group within that working class that would lead the charge in the revolution or that organization. Looking at the Politburo, then, just the organization of a communist party. The Politburo is the cabinet members, usually around 12 members. They're making all the party decisions. Below them would be the Central Committee. The Central Committee is kind of that legislative branch, but again, they just approve decisions that are being made by the Politburo. And the head of the Communist Party is the General Secretary. So looking at some of the central planning within the communist structure in the USSR and the failures behind it, again, there's a lack of incentive for those workers. They don't get paid anymore if they make a good product. And there's no competition either, so there's no competition to make a better product. And it's hard to measure the amount of production needed for a large country. Usually you work off of supply and demand. If we are selling so many shoes because people are demanding it, then you're going to make more of that same size. But if you don't know how many shoes are being distributed or how many people want those shoes, you really don't know how many to make. Perestroika is a reform that Gorbachev put in towards the end of the USSR, and it was more economic in base, but also some political reforms. But that also connects to Glasnost, which is your political openness. So he's allowing for discussion, free discussion, and transparency within the country. The idea of a illiberal democracy. An illiberal democracy looks like a democracy, however, maybe it lacks transparency. Your civil liberties may be not guaranteed. Elections could be false or not as honest, and it lacks a lot of civil society. So some of the terms that we use then is procedural versus substantive. Procedural is illiberal, so like you're going through the procedures, but it's really not what a democracy should be. Versus substantive is the liberal democracy. Putin today and the president have the most power in Russia. He has created ways to strengthen his political party. He can remove people throughout the country. He's also lengthened the presidential term. Some of the recent changes used to be a mixed system. Then for some years it was strictly proportional, but now it is back to a mixed system. Within that proportional part of the mixed system, there is a threshold. Every time these rules have changed, it has helped Putin's party. The idea of asymmetric federalism. Some of the regions within Russia have more power and are much stronger than others. If that is because of the governors or because Putin has allies there, or because maybe possibly the ethnic diversity in some of those, some do have more power. So that, yes, it is a federal structure, but asymmetric means that it is uneven in power. All right, so civil society, why is it important? How does democracy promote civil society? And then what is going on in Russia? So civil society is the formal, informal organizations outside of the government structure or the state operating like interest groups. Again, they're voluntary. They govern themselves. They're created to kind of promote causes and ideas. A lot of times this helps bring people together. So it could, in civil society, it could be more than an interest group. It could be a religious group. It could be a community event, charitable event. It could be politically driven. But those organizations are bringing people together. In Russia, it's very, very low level participation in political parties. It's almost non-existent. A lot of civil society is really lacking because of government intrusion as well as their past from the USSR. And here's the idea of statism, that the government should provide for the needs of the people. So people still want that because of the USSR. They want the state to help them out, but the state also then doesn't allow them to really fully operate in a civil society, a strong civil society. Looking at civil liberties then. Civil liberties are freedoms for individuals such as speech, assembly, religion, property, life, fair trials. These are things that should be protected from government intrusion. And why would authoritarian regimes take away civil liberties? Well, they want to limit you. They want to control you. They want their thoughts of the government to be your thoughts. And sometimes they do provide, so right, you want to keep them a little bit happy. This is a legitimate government, but you don't want to give them full on civil liberties. Looking at Chechnya, okay, so it's breaking away. It's a breakaway republic in the Caucasus region. It's predominantly Muslim, so there's tension there. There has been some terrorist organizations that have attacked different things. Yeltsin, in the shock therapy, when he became the leader of the USSR towards the end, he had a command economy, but he wanted to open up the economy to get things going, and he opened it up very quick, and everything was open, which was not a good thing. It was too much at once. Islam is the number 2 religion in Russia. When you're looking at the Constitution that was created in 1993 and the idea of checks and balances, Prime Minister is picked by the President. However, the Duma can reject that Prime Minister. If they do so 3 times, then the President just appoints a new one anyways. President can veto bills. President can be impeached. So there's some checks there within their government structure. The Federation Council is the other side of the legislative branch, and it is a regional aspect, so it's known to be the upper house, more regional. They can disapprove of legislation. They can approve the justices and appointees of government officials. And the last one is Nashi. This is a pro-Putin youth group. Get individuals involved in politics early that support Putin. Funded by the government. They lead demonstrations. They attack political opponents.